I had been with Amanda for 3 years, living together for two of them in my apartment. Tonight was supposed to be special. I had planned to propose at the fancy restaurant where we first met with a ring that cost me 3 months' salary. Everything was set for the perfect moment. But when I got down on one knee in front of everyone, Amanda's face turned from surprise to horror. "I cannot, Guy. I am sorry," she whispered. The crushing embarrassment and shock of being rejected in public left me frozen. As we drove home in silence, I wondered what had gone wrong and why the woman I thought was my future had just shattered my heart in front of a restaurant full of strangers. If you are watching this, let me know where you are from in the comments. Also hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever been blindsided by someone you trusted. This is a story about learning when to walk away. I am Guy, a 32-year-old software developer at a tech company in Seattle. I have always been a planner, someone who maps out their future with clear goals. When I met Amanda at Costello's restaurant 3 years ago, I immediately felt a connection I had never experienced before. She was 28, worked in marketing, had a quick wit and the most captivating laugh. She was the kind of person who could light up any room just by walking in. Our first year together was everything I had dreamed a relationship could be. We shared so many interests, from traveling to cooking to binge-watching obscure documentaries. We would spend weekends exploring hiking trails or trying new recipes in my small kitchen. Every moment with her felt right, like we were building something special together. After dating for a year, I suggested we move in together. I had purchased my apartment a few years earlier, and it made sense financially and emotionally. Amanda agreed enthusiastically. We spent weeks planning how to combine our lives, which furniture to keep, and how to redecorate to make the space ours. I covered most of the mortgage payments, while Amanda contributed a smaller portion, which worked well with our income differences. Everything about Amanda convinced me she was the one. She was intelligent with a sharp mind that challenged me. Her sense of humor matched mine perfectly. She had this adorable habit of scrunching her nose when she concentrated. Most importantly, we had talked about our long-term goals early in our relationship, and they aligned perfectly. We both wanted marriage eventually, maybe a couple of kids' careers that fulfilled us, but still left time for family. Looking back, I should have noticed the subtle changes over the past few months. Amanda started coming home later from work. Our conversations became shorter, more superficial. Whenever I would bring up future plans, she would skillfully change the subject. I attributed it to work stress, as she had mentioned. Her company was going through some restructuring. I trusted her completely and believed in our love. That trust made me blind to what was happening right in front of me. To show my commitment and move our relationship forward, I decided it was time to propose. I spent weeks researching the perfect ring, visiting countless jewelry stores, until I found one that seemed worthy of her. The price tag made me wince 3 months of my salary, but I believed this was an investment in our future. I wanted something that would make her eyes light up, that she would be proud to wear for the rest of her life. Planning the proposal took over a month. I wanted everything to be perfect, a moment she would remember forever. I chose Costello's, the restaurant where we first met, not just for sentiment, but because it was also her favorite place for special occasions. I coordinated with the manager to reserve the best table, arranged for her favorite flowers to be placed throughout, and even selected a special wine for the occasion, a vintage from the year we met. I remember feeling confident about my decision. Yes, we had never explicitly discussed marriage recently, but we had talked about it when we first started dating. We lived together, shared finances, and had created a life that seemed to be heading in that direction naturally. All the signs told me she would say yes. I believed I knew her heart as well as I knew my own. The evening of the proposal started like any fairy tale. I had reserved the corner table at Costello's, the same spot where I had first noticed Amanda 3 years ago. The restaurant had outdone themselves with the decorations, subtle yet elegant. White roses, her favorite, adorned our table, and a bottle of expensive champagne waited on ice. My best friend Mike had helped me prepare everything. He had even arranged for a photographer to discreetly capture the moment from a nearby table, ready to document what I believed would be one of the happiest moments of our lives. I had rehearsed my speech dozens of times, wanting to strike the perfect balance between heartfelt emotion and clarity. As I waited for Amanda to arrive, my hands trembled slightly with anticipation. I kept touching the ring box in my jacket pocket, a nervous habit I had developed over the past week. Despite my nerves, I felt confident. We loved each other, we had built a life together, and this was the natural next step. I had never been more certain of anything. Amanda arrived looking stunning in a blue dress I had never seen before. Her hair was styled differently too, falling in soft waves around her shoulders. If I had been more observant, I might have noticed the tension in her posture, the way her smile seemed forced, or how her eyes darted around the restaurant nervously. But I was too caught up in my own excitement to see these warning signs. The dinner began perfectly. We ordered our favorite appetizers, seared scallops for her and beef carpaccio for me. The conversation flowed easily enough, though. Looking back, Amanda spoke mostly about work and mutual friends, avoiding any topic that ventured into the future. We shared a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon, the same wine we had on our first date. The main course arrived, her salmon and my filet mignon, both cooked to perfection. As we finished our meal and the waiter cleared our plates, I felt my heart begin to race. This was the moment I had been planning for weeks. I gave a subtle nod to Mike across the room, who alerted the photographer. Then, taking a deep breath, I stood up, moved to Amanda's side of the table, and got down on one knee. The restaurant seemed to fall silent. I could feel eyes turning toward us, waiting to witness this special moment. I pulled out the velvet box from my pocket and opened it, revealing the sparkling diamond ring inside. My voice was surprisingly steady as I began my carefully prepared speech. Amanda, these past 3 years with you have been the best of my life. You make me want to be better every day, and I cannot imagine my future without you in it. Would you do me the honor of becoming my wife? The moment the words left my mouth, I saw something change in Amanda's expression. Instead of the joy and excitement I had anticipated, her face registered shock, then panic. Her cheeks flushed red, not with pleasure, but with embarrassment. And something else, something that made my stomach drop. Discomfort. Reluctance. I cannot, Guy. I am sorry, she whispered, barely audible over the ambient noise of the restaurant. Those 5 words sent my world crashing down. I remained frozen on one knee, the open ring box still extended toward her, my brain struggling to process what was happening. This was not how it was supposed to go. This was not what we had planned for our lives. I became acutely aware of the stares from other diners. Some looked away awkwardly, while others watched with undisguised interest, witnessing my humiliation. The photographer Mike had arranged was still taking pictures, documenting not a joyous acceptance, but my rejection and shame. Somehow I managed to stand up, close the ring box, and return to my seat. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the ring. The silence between us was deafening. Amanda's eyes were fixed on her lap, unable to meet mine. I could see tears forming, but in that moment I could not bring myself to comfort her. My own pain was too raw, too overwhelming. I paid the bill without looking at the total, leaving a generous tip as an apology to the staff for the uncomfortable scene. We left the restaurant without speaking, the weight of what had just happened hanging between us. The drive home was excruciating, filled with a silence so complete it seemed to have physical presence. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, focusing entirely on the road ahead to keep my emotions in check. As we pulled into the parking spot at our apartment building, I realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The future I had so carefully planned had vanished in an instant, replaced by a painful uncertainty I was not prepared to face. Back at our apartment, the tension was unbearable. I tossed my keys on the counter with more force than necessary, the metallic clatter breaking the silence that had followed us home. Amanda stood by the door, looking small and uncertain in her beautiful blue dress, now a painful reminder of how the evening was supposed to have gone. Why, I finally asked, my voice hoarse with emotion. Why would you say no like that? In front of everyone, Amanda moved to the couch, sitting on the edge as if preparing for a quick escape. I am not ready, Guy. I thought you knew that. How would I know that? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. We have talked about marriage before. We live together. We have built a life together. What part of that says not ready? I just She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. I still want freedom. I like what we have right now. Why do we need to change it? Our argument escalated quickly. Words flew between us like weapons, each more hurtful than the last. I accused her of wasting my time, of leading me on. She countered that I was pressuring her, that I had never actually asked if she was ready for marriage before planning an elaborate proposal. Both of us were right and wrong in different ways, but in the heat of the moment, neither could see the other's perspective. Then, in a moment of frustration, Amanda let something slip. I have been having doubts for months now. I should have said something, but I did not want to hurt you. Months I felt like I had been punched. You have been doubting us for months and never thought to mention it. I tried to talk to Jack about it, he said. I should just be honest with you, she admitted. Jack, your coworker Jack, a cold feeling spread through my chest. You talked to him about our relationship problems before talking to me. Amanda realized her mistake too late. He is just a friend, Guy. Sometimes it is easier to get perspective from someone outside the relationship. Something in her expression, a flicker of guilt perhaps, pushed me to do something I had never done before. Show me your phone. What? No. That is an invasion of privacy, she protested. If he is just a friend, there should be nothing to hide, I insisted. Our argument grew more heated until finally, perhaps to prove her innocence, or simply to end the fight, Amanda unlocked her phone and handed it to me. What I found was not explicit evidence of cheating, but something that felt almost worse. Dozens of intimate text conversations between her and Jack. They were not sexual in nature, but they had an emotional intimacy that should have been reserved for me, her partner. Messages where she confided her doubts about our relationship, where she talked about feeling understood by him in ways she did not feel with me. Messages where he offered to meet for coffee or drinks to talk through her feelings. Messages that crossed the boundary from friendship into something more significant, something that explained the distance I had been feeling from her. This is not just a friendship, I said quietly, handing the phone back to her. We never did anything physical, she defended herself quickly. We just talk. He listens to me. Because you never gave me the chance to listen. I could not keep the hurt from my voice. You were sharing our private relationship issues with him instead of talking to me. Amanda turned defensive, shifting blame. You have been so focused on your career lately. You are always working late, always on your laptop, even when we are together. Jack just happened to be there when I needed someone to talk to. The revelation of this emotional affair on top of the public rejection of my proposal was too much to bear in one night. I could not even look at her anymore. I am sleeping on the couch tonight. We will talk more tomorrow. That night on the uncomfortable sofa, sleep evaded me. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our relationship, looking for signs I had missed. I thought about all I had sacrificed for us. When Amanda wanted to switch careers last year, I supported her financially while she took courses to build new skills. I had turned down a job opportunity in another city because she did not want to move. I had centered my life around building a future with her while she had apparently been building emotional walls and bridges to someone else. The most painful realization came around 3 a.m. Amanda might not love me the way I loved her. The uneven distribution of love and commitment in our relationship suddenly seemed so obvious that I wondered how I had missed it. By morning, exhausted and emotionally drained, I had reached a decision I never thought I would make. Our relationship needed to end. When Amanda emerged from the bedroom the next morning, I was already sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee grown cold between my hands. I had not slept, had not changed clothes. The weight of my decision felt physical, pressing down on my shoulders. I think we need to end this relationship, I said without preamble. There was no point in small talk or easing into it. The words hung in the air between us, heavy with finality. Amanda froze, clearly not expecting this. Her hair was tousled from sleep, her eyes still puffy from crying the night before. Because I would not say yes, Guy, that is not fair. Just because I am not ready for marriage does not mean I do not want to be with you. It is not just the proposal, though, that hurt more than you know, I replied, keeping my voice even, despite the storm of emotions inside. It is the fact that you have been having doubts for months and chose to confide in another man instead of talking to me. It is the emotional intimacy you have been building with Jack while letting ours fade. I cannot be with someone who keeps secrets like that, who does not trust me enough to be honest. I do trust you, she protested weakly. I just did not want to hurt you with my uncertainty. But that is exactly what happened anyway, only worse because now I also feel betrayed and blindsided. I ran a hand through my disheveled hair exhaustion, making every movement feel like wading through molasses. Relationships need trust and honesty to survive, Amanda. You broke both of those. What followed was an hour of emotional back and forth, Amanda cycling through denial, anger, bargaining, and tears. She promised to cut contact with Jack, to work on our communication, to consider marriage in the future when she felt ready. But with each promise, I felt more certain of my decision. The trust had been broken, and I was not sure it could be repaired. Then came the practical matter. I think you should move out, I said finally. This is my apartment. I bought it before we met. This triggered a new wave of protests. You are kicking me out, just like that. Where am I supposed to go? Her voice rose with each question, indignation replacing the contrition of moments before. I cannot continue living with you. Not after this, I explained, trying to stay reasonable despite her growing anger. It would be too painful to see you every day knowing what happened, knowing about Jack. You cannot just expect me to leave immediately. I live here too, she was shouting now, tears streaming down her face. This is so unfair. You are punishing me because I was not ready to get married. No, I am ending a relationship that clearly is not working and asking you to respect that I cannot continue sharing a living space with you, I corrected firmly. And I am not asking you to leave immediately. I will give you 30 days to find a new place. That is reasonable. Amanda continued to argue, cycling between accusations that I was being cruel and pleas for another chance. But I had made up my mind. 3 years of building a life together, planning a future that would never come, had left me emotionally exhausted. I could not imagine rebuilding trust with someone who had kept such significant doubts from me while sharing them with another man. We established an uncomfortable truce, as Amanda grudgingly accepted the 30-day timeline. The apartment that had once been our haven became a frigid, unwelcoming space. We created unspoken schedules to avoid each other, her taking the living room in the evenings while I worked late, me getting up early to have breakfast alone before she woke. We communicated through brief, polite exchanges and terse text messages about practical matters. The emotional distance between us grew into a chasm that neither of us attempted to bridge. A week into our uncomfortable arrangement, I decided to grab dinner alone at a small bistro across town, needing some space from the tense atmosphere at home. As I was being seated, my heart dropped at what I saw across the restaurant. Amanda and Jack sitting close together at a corner table, their hands nearly touching in the center of the table, laughing intimately in a way that made my stomach clench. They had not noticed me yet. I quietly asked the host to seat me elsewhere, somewhere out of their line of sight. Throughout my meal, I could not focus on the food. My mind raced with questions and anger. Was this why she had said she was working late tonight? How long had this been happening? Had there been more than an emotional affair all along? When I returned home, I waited, a bitter kind of patience settling over me. Amanda came in around 11 p.m., looking happier than I had seen her in weeks, until she spotted me sitting in the darkened living room. "We need to talk," I said, my voice unnaturally calm. "I saw you tonight with Jack at Bellini's." The color drained from her face. "Guy, I can explain. It was just dinner with a friend." "Stop lying to me." I rarely raised my voice, but I could not contain it now. "I saw how you were with him. That was not just friends having dinner." After more denials and my continued insistence, Amanda finally broke down. "Fine, yes, I have feelings for Jack. It has been developing for a few months now, but I swear to you I never physically cheated. I would never do that." "But you emotionally cheated," I pointed out, the confirmation of my suspicions, bringing no satisfaction, only a deep ache. "Is that why you said no to my proposal? Because of him?" She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. "Partly. I could not say yes to marrying you when I have these feelings for someone else. It would not have been fair to either of us." The truth hit me like a physical blow. All this time, while I had been planning our future, selecting rings and practicing proposals, she had been falling for someone else. The betrayal was complete. The devastation total. You need to leave, I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. Not in 30 days. Now, Guy, be reasonable. It is almost midnight. Where am I supposed to go? She protested, panic rising in her voice. Call Jack, I suggested coldly. Or a hotel. Or one of your friends. I do not care anymore. I just cannot have you here any longer. Our argument escalated into the worst fight of our relationship. Amanda alternated between defensive anger and tearful apologies. She tried to justify her actions, claiming she had been confused, that she had never meant to hurt me. I was beyond caring about her excuses. Finally, Amanda called her friend Lisa to come help. While she packed essential items, I stood in the living room, arms crossed, watching the dismantling of our life together with a strange detachment that I knew was just shock, protecting me from the full impact of the pain. As Lisa helped carry bags to the car, I went to my dresser and retrieved the engagement ring I had carefully hidden there for months. Walking back to the living room, I tossed it into one of Amanda's open boxes. Take it, I said flatly. Sell it. It cost 3 months of my salary, so you should get enough to cover a deposit on a new place. Amanda stared at the ring, then at me, tears streaming down her face. I never wanted it to end like this. You did not want it to end at all, I corrected her. You wanted to keep me as a safety net while you explored your feelings for someone else. That is not love, Amanda. That is selfishness. With Lisa's help, Amanda was gone within 2 hours, taking only her clothes, personal items, and a few small pieces of furniture that were undisputedly hers. She left her key on the kitchen counter without a word. The door closed behind her with a finality that should have brought relief but only left a hollow emptiness in its wake. The first week alone in the apartment was the hardest. Every corner held memories, every room echoed with her absence. I would catch myself calling out when I came home, expecting a response that would never come again. The silence was deafening, a constant reminder of what I had lost, not just Amanda, but the future I had planned with her. I cycled through emotions like stations on a radio, anger giving way to grief, grief to guilt, guilt back to anger. Had I been wrong to ask her to leave so suddenly? Should I have fought harder for our relationship? These questions plagued me, but they were always followed by the memory of her sitting with Jack, the intimacy between them that had clearly been building while I remained oblivious. After wallowing for a week, I made a conscious decision not to let this break me. I had always been resilient, had overcome challenges before. This was just another mountain to climb, albeit the steepest one yet. I started by reclaiming the apartment, rearranging furniture, removing photos of us together, painting the bedroom a new color to erase the memories of lazy Sunday mornings spent together in that space. I threw myself into work with newfound intensity. My boss noticed the change, commenting on my increased productivity and focus. I took on challenging projects that required long hours, finding solace in the complex problems that demanded all my attention, leaving no room for painful thoughts. Within 2 months, this dedication earned me a promotion I had been working toward for over a year. Physical activity became my outlet for the lingering anger and hurt. I joined a gym, working out until my muscles screamed in protest the physical pain, a welcome distraction from the emotional one. I learned to cook properly, not just the basic meals I had relied on before, but elaborate dishes that required concentration and precision. I joined a hiking group, spending weekends exploring trails, the physical exertion and natural beauty providing a kind of peace I had not expected to find again so soon. As the weeks turned into months, I began to recognize the man in the mirror again. The haunted look in my eyes faded, replaced by a quiet determination. I started to understand that while Amanda's betrayal had wounded me deeply, it had also freed me from a relationship that was not what I thought it was. I had been pouring my heart into loving someone who had not been fully committed to our future. As painful as the revelation had been, it had saved me from an even greater heartbreak down the road, from a marriage that might have ended in divorce, perhaps with children caught in the middle. I began to see my worth more clearly. I deserved someone who was as certain about me as I was about them, someone who would choose open communication over secret confidences with others, someone who would match my commitment level instead of keeping one foot out the door. This realization did not come as a dramatic epiphany, but as a slow dawning, a gradual strengthening of my self-respect and boundaries. 6 months after Amanda moved out, I was attending a work conference when I spotted her across the hotel lobby. She was with Jack, their hands intertwined, but when she saw me, she froze. I felt a moment of tension, waiting for the familiar surge of pain and anger, but it never came. Instead, I felt a surprising calm, an acceptance I had not thought possible yet. Amanda excused herself from Jack and approached me hesitantly. "Hi, Guy. You look good." "Thanks." "You too," I replied and meant it. She did look well, though different somehow, or perhaps I was seeing her through new eyes. An awkward silence stretched between us until she spoke again. I wanted to apologize again properly. What I did was wrong. I should have been honest with you from the beginning about my doubts and my feelings for Jack. You deserved better than that. Yes, I did, I agreed simply. There was no accusation in my tone, just acknowledgement of a truth we both knew. But I am grateful now. Ending our relationship was painful, but necessary. We both deserved a chance at something real. "Are you seeing anyone?" She asked, a hint of something, perhaps guilt or regret in her eyes. "Not yet," I replied. "I am taking my time, making sure I know what I want and need in a relationship before jumping into another one." She nodded, understanding in her expression. "That is wise." I rushed into things with Jack, and she hesitated, glancing back at him, waiting patiently across the lobby. "We are working through some challenges now." I felt no satisfaction at her admission of difficulties, only a genuine hope that she would find happiness, whatever form that took. "I wish you well, Amanda. I really do." As we said our goodbyes and I watched her walk back to Jack, I realized the most important lesson from our failed relationship. Sometimes losing someone is the only way to find yourself. In the pain of our breakup, I had been forced to rebuild, to examine what I truly valued, and needed to set boundaries that respected my worth. I had learned that self-respect and personal boundaries are more valuable than any relationship that requires you to compromise them. I had discovered that loving myself enough to walk away from something that was not serving me took more courage than staying would have. There are moments in life when you have to be brave enough to walk alone, because sometimes the right path is the hardest one, but it leads to where you are meant to be. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have given Amanda another chance, or was ending the relationship the right call? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this with someone who might be struggling to find the courage to walk away from a relationship that is not serving them. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, choosing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary for your growth and happiness.